Hi, and welcome to WhateverEtc number 25 for March the 29th, 2013. So I've been going on for a while about the loving struggle, and I think now it's time to stop kind of talking in terms of the general aspects of the loving struggle and about the need to jeopardize yourself a little bit, to put yourself in some peril out of the crisis of your own self-actualization, wherein you open yourself up to direct communication with the other, and you understand that this attempt at open communication, this attempt at exchanging from your possible self-actualization to another person's possible self-actualization, from your experience to another person's experience, that such communication actually begins in the disagreement that each of you has different experiences, and that you won't see any issue exactly the same, and you won't be neither of you will be in the same situation. So this is actually what the reason why we need solidarity in such communication, because we're not the same, and we're not going after identity. We're actually going after a kind of celebration of difference. So that kind of recaps really quickly in a big sweep the loving struggle as detaching away from violent conflict in order to get to love through this loving struggle. And philosophizing is a way of life, then the attempt at open communication begins in the acceptance of and celebration of difference. And the term I want to really talk about today and concentrate on for just a few minutes and make a sort of central meditation for the next few episodes maybe, is the idea of alteration. Now, actually, alter, A-L-T-E-R, alter is like alter ego, is the Latin word for other, right? So when we talk about the alter ego, we are talking about the other I, the other self. When we talk about alteration, we're talking about otherness. We're talking about othering, actually. Not to start getting into that weird language, that weird use of English that philosophy sometimes can get into that turns people off. But let me just kind of start with something a little more everyday, and then work to the philosophical implication of it. I think that we all have altered a piece of clothing in some way so that it fits better, right? So take the example of a pair of pants. The pair of pants fits okay around the waist, but it's 3 inches too long at the hem. So it has to be hemmed up. The pants legs have to be hemmed up, and you therefore commit yourself to an alteration of the length of the legs so that it will fit correctly. In that moment of alteration, it's not that you're changing the very essence of the pants. It's not that you're making them into a whole brand new pair of pants. It's that you're making them other than what they were, right? So alteration of a pair of pants is to make them otherwise. So if they're ill-fitting pants, an alteration making them otherwise makes them pants that fit. If you have, in another example, if you have we're often told that if you're having a bad day, an alteration of locale or an alteration of mental condition will help you have a better day, right? So a good example is something that a friend of mine told me about the other day that he'd heard on a TED Talk. If you are really feeling kind of down and depressed or melancholy, actually standing up like Wonder Woman or Superman, putting your hands on your hips and standing with your legs apart and sort of putting a determined look on your face with maybe a smile, and stand that way for like 2 or 3 minutes, and you'll actually begin to feel different. You are not now becoming some other being, but you are otherwise than you were before, right? I actually have done this a number of times over the course of the last week, and I want to report, even if it is totally psychosomatic, that actually is what it was supposed to be anyway, right? It's psychosomatic. The mind, psyche, and the body, soma, psychosomatic. All right? It is psychosomatic. There is a change in the psyche because of the way that you hold the body. An alteration in how you stand actually changes the way you see the world, right? And when you hear that, when I say it that way, it should make a lot of sense. An alteration in the way you stand, an alteration in where you stand changes the way you see the world, changes what you're looking at. An alteration in your stance changes what you're looking at. And that includes yourself, right? So when you're feeling depressed or you're feeling down, you're feeling oppressed, you're feeling imposed upon, an alteration actually in the way that you stand and hold your body makes you otherwise than you were before, right? So that even if what you have a bad attitude about, or even if what you have a sad attitude about is just yourself or just your condition, right? An alteration in where you stand, so that you're standing otherwise, so that you're standing in some other place or in some other way, actually changes the way that you feel. And that changes the way that you think about what's going on. This concept of alteration, then, is, to me, an extremely important aspect of why we attempt to engage in real, open, existential communication. And it's because we need an alteration from the violent struggle, from the violent conflict, from the violent structures in which we found a certain level of security. That idea from Alan Watts of the wisdom of insecurity that I talk about from time to time, right? Where insecurity means not caring, therefore it means caring again, right? To cure or to care, to secure, to not care, insecure, not caring, and because it's a double negative, caring, bringing yourself back to caring. See, insecurity is an alteration to security, and security was an alteration to care, to concern. I've noted how the various ways that we have of developing institutions and structures to make us feel secure, to make us have no cares, right? How this slowly, over time, habitualizes us to a social exchange that is more concerned with not being uncomfortable, with not being discomforted, with not being uneasy, with not being overly concerned. It habitualizes us to prefer the security of these social structures, the security of these communal institutions over the cares and the concerns that arise from our contingencies and our possibilities. So that slowly over time, we are constantly altering ourselves in order to stay secure. Now, I hope that if you've been listening to me over the course of a few of these talks, you know that I don't want to recommend to anyone that they just jump into insecurity and peril and jeopardy and, throw all caution to the wind, every single bit of it. I am asking you to not be shy from adventure. I'm asking you to not avoid concern. I'm asking you to re-engage and take a chance. But all of this is still being done inside of a rational elucidation, right? Inside of a trying to throw light upon how we can detach ourselves from these power flows that direct us without thinking, that alter us without our actively engaging, right? Because what I really want here is that when what we come to see as necessary power structures have cut us and blinded us away from opportunities and possibilities so that we can get no actual traction, right? But we're always slipping back into the security of these power structures. That is a recommendation to move back into an actual knowledge of life. It's not a recommendation to to jump off of a cliff and where you land is where you land. I'm trying to help you, and I'm hoping that you'll help me find traction in a world that has so many opinions and beliefs and institutional pathways and pre-established structural power flows, right? That we have to have some solidarity with each other in order to accomplish some kind of an alteration back to the possibility of who we are, right? And from that possibility, build new actualities. So, I am talking about a kind of revolutionary praxis, but it's a revolutionary praxis that achieves a level of liberty between friends that keeps at bay as much as it possibly can these unquestioned security structures that cannot allow for any kind of alteration, because alterations mess up the security structures, right? And we could talk about this actually insofar as the way that you begin to see corporations and the government enforcing certain kinds of contracts that don't allow you to alter your telephone, that don't allow you to alter certain kinds of services, right? They try to lock you into a certain kind pre-established contractual structure. There are some reasons that you could put that good reasons that can be put forward for why you would you want to go along with that. But it's a difference between there is a difference between adapting yourself to these constant attempts at trying to make you become someone more in tune with constant security than fully embracing this authenticity of concern that arises out of the fact that we have personal crises for which no institutional structure can take into account, that we have social crises for which no institutional structure can provide proper security, that we have human crises, species scale crises going on for which no human attempts at control or structure will be able to provide any kind of security, that we have natural crises that occur from time to time for which human beings cannot create a control structure by which we can just simply push it off and have security. So we'll talk more and more about this alteration concept, about what it means, this alteration. And maybe next time I'll talk to you a little bit about why I'm picking this concept up out of WhateverEtc Gasset and playing a little bit with Paulo Freire, the pedagogy of the oppressed, and then we'll see where it's coming from. Until then, do a little meditation, do a little contemplation on this notion of alteration, right? When does an alteration of your life begin to make you feel uncomfortable? When does an alteration in your life begin to make you feel uncomfortable? And what is the distinction that can be drawn between an alteration, a making otherwise, and an unexpected event or an unexpected twist, right? An alteration which is a purposeful making otherwise, and an unexpected event which changes what's going on around you. Let's think about what those distinctions might be. And I welcome any comments. I welcome any feedback. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Happy Good Friday to my brothers and sisters of a Christian persuasion. And talk to you a little later on. Namaste.